Hello, everybody. Thank you for finding my channel today. You have reached Grandpa on his YouTube channel, Coffee Time with Grandpa. And I'm so thankful that you have found me. And I'm going to be talking today, uh, probably a pretty lengthy video. So bear with me, stay to the end so I can get my message across. I welcome everybody to my channel, and I am so thankful. I know I say that a lot of times that I'm thankful for this channel, but I truly am, because the channel, for some reason, this month it has taken an uptick in viewership, and I have added getting close to 600 subscribers, and that growth is just really not, usually it's a lot slower. For some reason, a lot of people are tuning in to what I have to say, and this makes me very happy. Grandpa is very happy, and today is a very, very spiritual subject matter that I'm going to be talking about. I'm not going to be talking today about health, or how to improve your health, or how to live your life. I'm going to be talking about something that is very close to my heart and always has been, and that is the subject of NEDs, near death experiences. If there are any people out there that have had a near death experience, you will be able to relate to what I'm going to be talking about, my life today. This is going to be a very spiritual, very personal um, video that I'm going to share what happened, what all through my life, and why I believe so much in the spirit realm, why I have become a pagan, and why I have become a very spiritual person. I'm an empath. I see and hear and smell different things that normal people don't see. Now, a lot of people will be thinking, boy, this grandpa just went over the red line and he's going crazy. But let me tell you, everything I'm going to be talking about today is going to be proving my point and proving that there is an afterlife. So if you have any doubts whatsoever about there being an afterlife, tune in, because I am going to tell you all about what happened to my life, starting from a very early age. Now, the let me get a drink here. Um, that's so good early in the morning. Now, I'm going to talk about near-death experiences that a lot of people uh, have had in the past. They've been in car wrecks. They've fallen downstairs, or they had a swimming accident, some kind of tragedy where their body shuts down and is declared clinically dead. Okay. Now, I don't have any recollections of my near-death experience per se, because I was only a baby. Because it happened to me twice. It happened to me. Now, this is what my grandmother told me. Okay, before she passed away, she told me that, and my mother also verified everything that she said. She told me that. When I was born, when I came out of the womb of my mother, the umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck, okay? And I had already turned a bluish color, which means my brain was not getting oxygen at the time. And I had no heartbeat when I was born at the time. I was the doctors declared me clinically dead. Okay, but so while they were cleaning me up, and of course I was limp, I had no sign of life in me. And while the nurses were cleaning me up, uh, I started breathing again, and I started. Uh, crying and screaming and hollering. And the doctors picked me up by my legs and smacked me on my butt to try to get a reaction out of me. And I, of course, started breathing. And I wasn't. I was finally getting in some oxygen, breathing oxygen. Um, so this, I don't have any memories of it because I was just a baby being born. Uh, but this happened to me once. And then 4 years later, I got deathly sick again. And of course, I have a little bit of memory about this incident because I can still remember uh, what the uh, what the nurses, which were nuns, because I was in a Catholic hospital, these nurses, uh, I still remember this was the olden days when they had the habits and stuff, and they had to have their hair covered completely over. They couldn't show any hair. So I still remember what they looked like. Uh, I was deathly sick. I had caught double pneumonia, and the doctors told me, you better get the priest. Go ahead and get the priest just to be on the safe side and give him his last rites because I don't expect him to live for a couple of more hours. Um, I was close to death. I didn't die, but I was close to death with double pneumonia, and I was 4 years old. And I remember the nuns being gathered around my bed and looking at me and praying for me and making the signs of the cross. And I do remember that. Now, I have no recollection of a priest coming and giving me last rites, but they said that the priest did come in. The priest in the hospital there, because it was a Catholic hospital, he gave me last rites. Uh, so this was the second time that I was close to death, and I hadn't even reached the age of 5 yet. I was still 4 years old. So these two experiences, what I'm trying to point out, these two experiences have made me very susceptible to the spirit world. And at that early stage of my life, I was very in tune with the spirit world because I have come so close to that veil that separates the spirit world from our earthly realm that we live in. Uh, and then this had a significant amount of effect on the way I grew up, how I perceived things, because I was a child early in life that enjoyed being in the outdoors and enjoyed being with nature. So, because most of the time, all of my spare time when I was growing up, when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all those times growing up as a child, I was close to nature and close to the spirit realm. I was a very quiet child. I didn't talk to people very much. I was very withdrawn, and I didn't really relate to the people and their problems that they seemed to be having. Uh, I was considered, I guess a lot of people would have considered me back in the 50s when I was growing up. I was sort of like a sissy boy. In other words, I had a lot of female traits about me when I would talk to people. My voice was a lot higher than uh, a man's voice or a child's voice should be. I had mannerisms that a lot of people, a lot of boys picked on me growing up because they didn't understand me and they didn't realize that I was a very spiritual person. So as I grew up as an adult, okay, my life started to unfold as a preteen, a teen, and then of course once I graduated from high school, uh, there's a couple of instances that growing up that I want to relate to, and I already mentioned my at age 4 my pneumonia seemed that experience in itself seemed to steer me towards a spiritual, uh, more spiritual person. And actually, my grandmother thought that once I grew up, I would become a Catholic priest. But lo and behold, I did not become a Catholic priest because I have very, very many different views on the Catholic Church that I don't agree with. Okay. Now, this one instance, when I was a teenager, I was just out with my dog, rummaging around in the forest and the woods because my family had a large farm of over 140 acres. So I had plenty of places to go to and enjoy my teenage years. And one day I was just walking along one of these paths where the cows had made because my dad raised a bunch of cows and my grandfather raised a bunch of cows. So they would make paths out in the pasture land. And I was walking along with my dog. And before I knew it, before I even knew what I was about to get into, I stepped on a poisonous snake. It was a copperhead snake, and I stepped on it while it was curled up, and it was uh, just getting ready to strike, but I didn't see it. I stepped on it completely, and once I saw it, I jumped back with my reflexes and got the hell out of there because it scared me shitless. Uh, but that snake did not attempt to even attack me. It just was laying in the sun, minding its own business, and I came along and stepped on it. And I was so lucky that it did not bite me. This is one of those instances where I felt really close with nature, and it just seemed like nature was all around me, and I was part of that nature and part of that spirituality when it comes to trees and animals and things, and especially my dog. I was so close to my dog. His name was Maxie, by the way. He was a golden retriever, and I spent most of my teenage years with him before he passed away. Also, now that was one instance. Uh, I was also reminded of the fact that when I first came to this country, because my history is very, very interesting. Uh, I was born in Germany. My father joined the military, and he came over to Germany, and he bumped into my mother, who was German. He bumped into her in a cafe. She was working in a cafe slash beer joint, whatever you want to call it. She was working as a waitress. And he started talking to her, and they hit it off pretty good. And he found out that, that she had two children, a daughter and a son that were, uh, 5, 6 years old. And he related the story to him that when he was in Korea, he had gotten a venereal disease, and uh, he could not produce children. So what he was really looking for was a woman that had children that he could adopt as his own, because he always had this sincere uh, thought about having children, and he couldn't have children because this venereal disease destroyed his sperm count, so he was unable to produce children. So he went the adoption route, and he fell in love with my mother. They started dating for a couple of years and got the paper rolling to have me adopted. Had my name changed to his last name and become American citizens even before we came into the United States. So he went ahead, and they put in the paperwork and spent the time and effort to adopt us, and our names was changed, and lo and behold, we came to the United States, and we were American citizens. Total change in my life because I did not speak English at the time. I spoke German, and I had to learn the English in Fort Benning, Georgia, where he was stationed when we came over. And this is another instance that I want to relate to. Back in those days, they didn't fly people and their families that were military associated. They didn't fly them in airplanes. Back in the middle 50s to late 50s, you were put on a ship and you had to endure 7, 8, 9, 10 days on a boat, it was a half passenger and half freight ship. This ship that I was coming on for the first time with my family and my adopted father was called the USS Upshur. And I came on that ship, and we were on the ship. It was a big adventure for me because I was only 5 at the time, and it was just to see the ocean and to see this big ship, because I have memories of all this. Those memories will always stay with me. Being on that boat was something else. And then during our trip over to New York, where we saw the Statue of Liberty, we ran into a big storm out on the open ocean, and the storm was horrible. And this storm was so bad that they had everybody on board put on life vests and to congregate near the boats because they were in fear that the ship would sink. It was just almost like the Titanic almost. Uh, I remember the big waves coming up and hitting the glass on the boat, uh, where the passengers were the areas where the lifeboats were at, and we had to have special drills on how to get on these lifeboats because the captain was really fearing that we were in danger because the storm was so bad. But lo and behold, within a couple of hours, the storm subsided and everything was back to normal. And this was another clear case of me being very, very close to the spirit realm, because uh, it was just not meant to be that I should die on this boat and sink. Uh, my life has been full of these stories that I could tell you that has happened. Um, Another incident was once I became an adult and I graduated from high school, I joined the military. And I was in the military for about 15 years. I never retired from the military, but I stayed in for 15 years. And on one of these events, another tragedy almost happened that almost killed my life. But miraculously, I was protected by my guardian angels, and I was out on delivering gasoline in these huge green tanks that was attached to trucks, and even a jeep could pull it. It just so happened that it was a jeep that I was in, that when I was bringing this gasoline to the outfit that was out maneuvering in the fields. And on this was a day that it was raining really heavily and it was muddy. And I was the passenger and my driver, because I was a sergeant and the driver was a private. He was driving, and as he was making his way through the muddy terrain, the Jeep flipped with us in it and with that gasoline in the back, which could have exploded and killed us all. But luckily enough, none of it leaked out. We just flipped over and landed in the soft clay mud. Another close call with my life. I've had several of these close calls where my guardian angels have always protected me. And this is why I'm an empath. This is why I am so close to the spirit realm. And the older I get, the closer I get to the spirit realm, because I know I'm getting ready to pass on into the spirit realm, because my time in living on this planet is pretty much over. I might have a few more years left. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to relate these stories to you. Now, I hope I have increased your attention span on this, and I hope I haven't bored you too much with some of these stories. Yeah, but all these stories are true in my life. The one about the gasoline tipping over and almost killing us, but we just got by with a few scrapes and scars, bleeding a little bit in the forehead. But the emergency room took care of me. The being sick at the age of 4 with almost dying with pneumonia and giving the last rites. Now, another incident that happened to me was later on. It was 1977. I had already was married and had a couple of children by then. But I was driving, and I had bought a brand new station wagon. And I was driving into to my workplace, and on my way to the workplace, I was getting ready to go drive onto the interstate when all of a sudden a car in front of me stopped and stepped on its brakes so heavily, and I rammed right into the car, and the person behind me ran into me in the rear. So the car was totally destroyed, and my glasses were broken, I remember. But as far as any other injuries to me, miraculously I survived. And you should have seen the car. It was squashed from both ends, and I was in the middle and didn't get a scratch on me. My guardian angels again were there to protect me. It's just, and don't forget the incident of when I was on the Atlantic Ocean with the boat, almost going through a bad storm, and we had to get on lifeboats and getting ready to be lowered because they were in fear of that the boat would sink. I survived that. Another incident, the guardian angels. You see where I'm coming from with all this? One incident after the next, stepping on a poisonous snake, and my final incident that I want to recall in my life, which is kind of interesting, because the world of the '50s is so much different than what we have now. Back in the '50s, we were just a few years off of the ending of World War II, so a lot of Americans had a very, very racist attitude towards Germans. Okay, this was prevalent in the area that I was in because my father was stationed in Macon, Georgia, and it was one of those bases that I was stationed was there with him because I was a child, and we were driving from Macon, Georgia, to West Virginia because that's where my father was from. We had stopped. We had stopped in a restaurant, and clearly outside of the restaurant there was a sign for whites only. So we thought we would be safe because most of us uh, were white looking. Although I was half Spanish, I was still kind of dark complected. Because you could tell that I was not completely white. I was a mixed child growing up because I was very dark growing up. Uh, so we went in and not thinking of nothing. Dad and Mom, they looked at the menu and picked things out for us, what they thought we would like, and they tried to put an order in, and the waitress came up to us and said, because apparently this waitress heard my mother because my mother could not speak English. She heard her speak German to my father, who understood a little bit of German, okay, because he was stationed in Germany for a long time. So he kind of picked up a few words here and there where he could understand and communicate with my mother. Uh, and this waitress came over and she said, "I'm sorry, we do not serve German people, especially ones that have mixed children." And I remember this to this day, how we were so discriminated against just because I looked like a darker complected person because I was half Spanish and my mother spoke German. They refused to serve us. We had to get up and leave and go out and leave that restaurant because they refused to serve us. This is how sad it was back in the '50s, how discriminatory people were against blacks, Spanish people, and Germans. And Germans were white people, okay, but because of the war and the Nazi era being just around the corner for a lot of these people in Macon, Georgia, they discriminated against us. I will always remember that. And this is another reason why I became so spiritual and so empathic. I am empath, and I can read your thoughts before you even think about them. I know the type of person you are just by shaking your hand. I have an extrasensory perception when it comes to that, and that has helped me out so much during my lifetime. You would not believe. And with these near-death experiences I've experienced, uh, I have become a better person. I have become a very spiritual, emotional, sensitive person, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Now, sometimes it can be a curse and burden, but other times it can be beneficial also to my growth, my inner growth, my Christ child inside of me, and I can live my life the way I want to. And I enjoy so much sharing my life with you. I haven't been all over the board scattered like this with all these things that I've talked about, but I hope you will get to know me better as time goes on, because I do plan on doing a lot of videos, a lot more long form videos in the future. I'm going to try to increase it to about 3 a week if I can. Uh, but with spring coming, I'm going to be busy, and I'm going to bring you along into my garden and show you what I'm up to. Uh, Always like, share, and comment. It's your comments are always so welcome. And if you've had a near-death experience, go ahead and tell me about it. Uh, uh, in the comments section, get a hold of me, and I will more than love to talk to you about my experiences, because I have had a lot more than just what I've mentioned today, but those are the ones that come to mind, and I hope it has enlightened you. I hope uh, you can understand why I am so spiritual, why I became a pagan. And if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask, okay? Grandpa is always here for you. He wants to share his life with you, his wisdom that he's accumulated, and it would make me so happy to be able to share my wisdom with my audience. Thank you for growing. Thank you for seeing the video incomplete all the way to the end, because it's important to me that you watch these videos, these long form videos to the end, and subscribe to my channel. It's free and it doesn't cost anything. Okay, guess what? It's that time in the video. See you next time. Blessed be. Bye bye.